Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. I'm not at the beach anymore. I'm so sad.
How was your last day?
Ugh, it was fine. It's just sad getting to come back. But my sister's there now, and it's her birthday today. So that's good for her, right? That she gets to spend her birthday there. But I
Mm-hmm.
am a little jealous because she's spending like 2 weeks there, and I only spent 3 days there. So, but it's okay. 3 days is better than no days.
Right.
So,
I
but
feel
yeah,
dumb.
it's at
Huh?
least the weather's nice still here, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I'm going to I've been working on my backyard and my backyard's pretty nice, but I'm trying to make it better and I took down my hammock. I have a hammock that's near my pool that I took down over the summer because it's just there's no point.
Mm-hmm.
Just get sun fried because it's
Yeah, I
too
never get.
hot to be out there. Yeah, so I have to put it back up.
Mm.
So, because it's perfect right now.
Yeah, I feel dumb for forgetting. But what day? Did you say we didn't have class one of the days this week?
Monday. No, not till Monday.
Oh, next.
Yeah, next week, Monday.
I see. Okay.
So we have a 3-day weekend, but since we don't have classes on Fridays, we really have a 4-day weekend, right? Although I have
Yeah.
plenty to do on Fridays
Mm-hmm.
because I have meetings usually all day. Oh, I have midterms I teach an 8-week class.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have midterms Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week. So that's fun.
Yeah, I have all my procrastinated homework on that day.
Well, you can't procrastinate homework in this class because there's 3
No.
assignments due tonight. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I used to make homework due like at the end of the week, like on Sunday nights. That was a terrible idea because
No,
then
no.
people would try to do a week's worth of work in one day. Bad plan. So,
Mm-hmm.
yep. All right. Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Although I don't feel like it's Tuesday. I feel like it should be Friday. As I was driving home last night, I was like, I feel like it should be Friday. I'm back at my boring house, but it's okay. It's all right. I'm almost over it. Not, but we'll pretend I am. All right. So speaking of Tuesday, it's T-shirt Tuesday. If anyone wants to share their T-shirt that they're wearing, of course we'll share my T-shirt. And then if you don't want to share a T-shirt, I also love tacos. So if anyone has a great taco place or a recipe that I should make, but I'm not going to make them today because I have to go to a soccer game. So I'm going to say a great taco place. I'm in. I will take all suggestions on tacos as well. All right. So anyone have a shirt they want to share? Oh, Tashina, what were you going to say?
I know that it's probably far for you because Queen Creek is far for everybody, but I think it's called it's called Creek Tacos in Queen Creek, and it is really good. Really good.
Oh, what kind
It's
of
a
tacos do you
cute little
like there?
place too. Oops. It's like serves everything outside. They've got like a bunch of outdoor games, but because of COVID, I don't know if they're not letting people play games or not. But they usually have like it's all sandy beachy area set up, but there's no beach. It just looks that way. And then they have like bonfire pits for every table, a bunch of like wooden picnic tables, and the whole area is covered in trees. So and all the trees have lights. So it's like really pretty, and the kids like it because there's just like a bunch of activities from the ranges of like elementary up to high school, and then like I said, there's volleyball pits. Um, what's that game where you throw the toss where you toss the
Like
little beanbag?
cornhole?
Yeah, there's like
Cornhole.
cornhole and other games like that. I think it's called Taco Creek. I'll look real quick and tell you. Or
Nice.
Creek
That sounds
Tacos.
good.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. It's just a little drive probably for anybody.
Yeah, but that's okay. You never know when you're going to end up out there for something. So,
Sure.
thanks. Anyone else have any T-shirt they want to share or tacos That's what we're doing. T-shirts and tacos on Tuesday.
Okay, so for the shirt that I have, it was something my dad gave me not too long ago. He used to work at Village Inn like years ago before they shut the one down that was closest to me. But he gave this to me a long time ago. I like it. It's something I wear all the
Nice.
time.
Nice. Is it comfy?
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I wear it like all the time.
I love comfy T-shirts. That's the best.
Me too.
My math T-shirts are not usually comfy. I usually change out of them immediately because even though they're funny, they are not necessarily comfy. And Village Inn, I feel sad that so many of them closed. Are they all closed? Because all of them by me closed for sure.
I know there's like a handful of them that are still around, but he doesn't work at any of them anymore, so I'm not sure if he knows anymore either. So
Yeah. It was kind of a fun place. I don't know why, they didn't do so well. Maybe just whatever, crazy times. Thanks for sharing, Josh. Anyone else? T-shirts, tacos, Tuesday.
Okay, it's called Creekside Taco Shack. And a lot of people ride their horses up to it because there's trails that come right up to it. So you'll see a lot of horses, and there's an area actually. So you have your cars, and on the other side, it's all for the horses to get tied up. And I was trying to find a picture to show you guys all too, but they have like a tree that everybody, like, you bring an extra sandal with you and you can put your name and stuff on it, and then you attach your sandal to the tree. Stuff like that.
Nice.
Just a
Well,
little quirky place.
Maybe I'll do a hike out that way, and then after the hike, we'll do tacos there.
There
that
you
would
go.
be that'll be a good idea. So, because there's plenty of hikes near there or ish, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of areas to hike. It's cross streets is Queen Creek Road and is it Haas or Sossaman? And Sossaman. Queen Creek Road and Sossaman.
Nice.
There's
Awesome.
There's the tree.
Oh, how cute.
It's kind of blurry for everybody, but there you go.
All right, good. Creekside Taco Shack. Got it. All right. Anyone else? Last call. Tacos, T-shirts, Tuesday. All right. I know you're desperately waiting for mine. I know you can't imagine what it could be. I love all tacos. I haven't had a taco I don't like. So there you go. Okay, here's my T-shirt. Hold on. I got to point it down a little farther. See, just when you thought they couldn't get worse. Right? Oh, I got a thumbs up from Rookie. See, I live for that. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Laughing, crying emojis. Love them. Thanks, Josh. Yeah. So I'm sure my husband appreciates this shirt as well. Right? It's actually factual. I'm just kidding. I am always right. Most of the time. So my niece actually gave me this shirt, which I don't know what that says about me, but my niece lives in Hawaii. So I'm pretty sure she's pretty smart since she lives in Hawaii, right? Yeah, so interesting. Okay, so that's just a fun punny, right? It's a right angle. I'm always right. You get it. Yeah. Okay, so welcome. Yesterday we did great. It was just vocab day. Today is kind of more of the same. Oh, by the way, read my quote today. Love it. By Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The time is always right to do what is right. That's a great quote, right? Great quote. Oh, we already did this. T-shirt Tuesday. So now I'm going to have you do this warm-up problem. You'll notice it's very similar to a problem we did yesterday, okay, in class if you did the voter problem. If you did the other one, that strategy was the same. It was just in context. I'm going to warn you of something. Do not write until the very end. Yes, yesterday ours in class, our percentages turned out nice. They were like 32% and 50%. Not so much in this problem. Our percentages are not even percentages. So do not round. Do the whole process before you round at the end. Yes. So this is what we're going to do. After you do the problem, privately direct message or chat me your answers, okay, to all 3 of them. It's going to take a few minutes. Be patient. If you're one of those who's done really quickly and I say good job and you're patiently waiting, you have 3 assignments due tonight. You could open more in a separate window, right, in Canvas and work on any of those assignments while I'm privately answering everybody else. So here's the problem. The city of 7,000 registered voters. There are 2 candidates for a city council in an upcoming election, Brown and Felice. The day before the election, a telephone poll of 550 randomly selected registered voters was conducted. 237 said they'd vote for Brown, 267 said they'd vote for Felice, and 36 were undecided. Use this information from the sample to complete the following statements about the population of all registered voters in Raleigh. Round your answers to the nearest person. Now, try not to look at your notes from yesterday. Try to do it without looking at your notes because that'll say, did I understand what happened yesterday? If you have to look at your notes, make sure you keep that because you need to practice this some more. So you want to know how many registered for Brown, how many registered for would vote for Brown, how many would vote for Felice, and how many would be undecided. Now, it says round to the nearest person, so we shouldn't have any decimal points. And I want a number of voters, not a percentage. Yes? Okay, so don't round till the very end. When you have an answer, privately message me. Okay? Good luck. Your class as to how to begin. Look at your notes from yesterday. If you're still unsure of how to begin, private message me. Can you help me start? Okay, but give me some info. Okay, good luck. All right, I'm going to wait till I get answers from all of you. I'm answering you back privately in the chat, so make sure you send them to me when you're done. I'm seeing answers from several of you. Lil, I need answers from you. Rookie, did I get answers from you? Sometimes they get lost in the chat.
I'm sending
I
now.
am perfect. And then we'll be ready. All right, so let's talk about these. Thank you for being patient, by the way. Some of you work faster than others, and also some of you, it just gets lost in the chat, so it takes me a while to get there. Okay, so first of all, if you did it without using your notes, great job. If you tried it without using your notes and then you're like, none of this looks right, and then you were using your notes, that's fine. Just be careful. Make sure you're practicing it because a question like this is usually on the quiz. Okay, so if you are taking good notes, put a little star by it and say, make sure you study it. If you weren't sure how to do it, make sure you really think it through how it was done. The other thing is a lot of you were rounding too early, right? So I want to avoid that. And that's a lesson that's great to learn right now because that's going to hold true throughout the rest of the semester. And what's nice is if you're using a calculator like this, or even the emulator on your phone, or if you're using Desmos Scientific, it can do all the operations at one time. You don't want to round in the middle because your numbers will get off. When you round multiple times in a problem, you're estimating throughout. So we want to save that rounding step for the very, very end. And I'll show you what I mean in just a second. So here's the answers that you got. 3,000, or you should have gotten 3,016 for Brown, 3,398 for Felice, and 505 that were undecided. Now, just a recap, what to do for just one of these, like Brown, is you said, okay, in our sample, 237 said they'd vote for Brown out of our sample size of 550. So remember, we learned that vocabulary yesterday, population versus sample. So when you're doing sample, make sure you're comparing the sample to the sample, right? That's why we did 237 divided by 550. So we did that should be a 3. So 237 divided by 550, because that's sample divided by sample, that would give you a percentage. And then you're going to multiply it by the population because you're saying, okay, if I applied that same percentage to the population, then how many would have voted for Brown? Okay. And when you did that, you got 3,016, and then you got a decimal, right? So you did 237 divided by 550 times 7,000. And you got 3,016.3636, and that was actually repeating forever. So when you round to the nearest person, that means whole number. So that's why we got 3,016. Okay. If you do it on your calculator, the Desmos calculator I love. I don't know if any of you are Desmos calculator fans yet, but it's great and it'll be available in your quiz. So 237 divided by 500 and then times 7,000. And you can do it all in one step. And sorry, that should be 550. I'm like, why is that number different? There we go. 3,016.363636. It does it all for you, right? If you're using this calculator, it'll do the same. If you're using a scientific calculator, it'll do the same. If you're using the emulator on the phone, you won't have a problem. If you're struggling with your calculator, just hold it up to the screen or come visit me in office hours and I can totally work through your calculator issue with you. Okay. So, but I love Desmos. Love it. Okay, so now back to this. Let's look at one more. The same procedure would follow for Felice and for the undecided. Can you add 3,016, 3,398 plus 585? So 3,016 plus 3,398 plus 585, and tell me what you got. What'd you get? Move it that way, Tashina. Hold it the other way. There you go. Nice. Tashina's holding hers up to the screen. Yeah, what are you guys getting there? Do you get 7,000? No, you don't. So something's weird. We lost a voter, right? We should have 7,000, but it only equals 6,999. Where'd the other person go? What happened?
We rounded them out.
Yeah, so if you notice, this one turned out to be 0.3, right? The next one turned out to be like 0.18 or something. So we rounded it down to 3,398. The next one, the 585, was like 585 point, and it was like 4 or 5 or something. So do you see, if you would have added all these together, the decimal parts, that's where our other person is. So, but since we were following rounding rules, we ended up with only 6,999 people. Now, more will count your answers correct. These answers are all correct. And if you put in a different answer, it will mark them wrong. That's why it's really important that we do it correctly, because you're going to get frustrated on more if you're not careful. But in real life, if you wanted to say, I want to account for all 7,000 people, which category would you put that one missing voter in? And why? Where would you put them? Okay, we'll do a 3, 2, 1 since you're all debating. So tell me, would you give that extra person, would you give it to Brown? Would you give it to Felice, or would you give it to undecided? Just write one of those 3 names, either Brown, Felice, or undecided. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. And some of you are direct messaging me still. It doesn't matter. You're fine either way. Yeah, it's funny because a lot of you put the same thing. You just didn't want to say it out loud for some reason. I don't know if you're trying to nap, or if you're just shy, or if you're nervous that you're going to be wrong. It's okay. You all put undecided. Why did you put undecided? I agree. I would put undecided too.
It's fair.
Yeah, we don't really want to give it to anyone. First of all, that decimal was the highest, right? Anyway, so, and I don't want to say, ooh, that person would vote for Brown or that person would vote for Felice. Undecided is probably the safe way to go. But if you're entering your answers on more, make sure you put in the ones we got, right? I just wanted to show you that if you had that extra person, where you would probably put them, just for thinking reasons. Okay. Any questions, concerns? Okay, I know that was a long warm up, but it's well worth it to make sure, if I can eliminate some of your mistakes on your online homework, it's going to be very beneficial, right? Because that can be very frustrating, because you're like, I was so close, right? Okay. We have a little bit more vocabulary to go over. These 2 words, we talked about one of them yesterday. We talked about the placebo effect, but we didn't talk about confounding. Confounding is probably one of the most common mistakes in research that we have to be really careful of. And you can imagine it's really hard. So if there are 2 or more potential variables that could have caused the outcome, and it's not possible to determine which one actually caused it, that would be a problem called confounding. So in other words, when you do a research study, you try to, whoops, I'm throwing things around. You're trying to control as many things as possible, like demographics, age, health conditions, all of these things. And if you're not careful, there might be another factor that's actually causing your results, unless you've isolated everything. So researchers have to be really, really careful. You can imagine right now with coronavirus and all the studies they're doing with COVID-19, they're having a variety of results with medicines that they're choosing, right? And the reason is because they're just trying to save people's lives. right? So they're just throwing things at it. And what they're realizing is different age groups react differently to COVID-19, right? The elderly are having a lot of the respiratory symptoms, but young people are not, right? Necessarily. What symptoms are some of the young people getting, like 20-year-olds? Anyone know?
Coughing, sneezing, slight fever.
Yeah, maybe some slight fever. They're also getting some weird symptoms, that loss of taste and smell.
Yeah, I've had a bunch of friends get it. Yeah.
Yeah, that symptom is very different. There a lot of people are not getting that symptom. And at first they didn't even know why. Like they didn't even think it was a symptom. I think they're like, these people are a little cuckoo. We're not sure what's happening. And then it just kept coming up again and again and again. So those reactions are hard to figure out, like what's causing it, the difference in young people compared to older people, right? Yeah, so confounding is a big problem in research, especially when you're in a pandemic and you're just trying to save lives. So you're just trying to throw things at it, right? That's why the vaccines are so important, because we know that so far they've been effective with any age group, right? They were careful with that. Now, the different strains are becoming an issue as well, right? So confounding, you could see that. If you ever did a science fair project when you were a kid, your teacher probably told you to be very specific. Like one of the biggest science fair projects was growing plants, right? Will a plant grow if it gets more water or less water, or more light or less light? But you had to be careful and control all the other factors than the one factor you were testing, right? If you were only testing light, then you had to give each plant the exact same amount of water, right? The exact same amount of soil, all those other things. If you varied those, that would be a confounding problem, right? Does that make sense? All right. Who wants to tell me in their own words what the placebo effect is? Because we talked about that yesterday.
You said it was like when you are sick or something and you think that because they're telling that you're taking something, then you're actually getting better. So it's like a mental thing, but really it's nothing that they're giving you. It's just part of the experiment or study to be able to like you can see that people what they tell themselves in their brain, how the brain is so important, I guess.
Exactly. You did. That was great. So the treatment group versus the control group, right? In the control group, they might be getting a fake pill, but they don't know it's a fake pill. So they take it and they just think it's making them get better, right? So that's the placebo effect. A great example of the placebo effect is what parents do with their little kids. If you ever fell down and your parent said, "Oh, let mommy kiss it and make it better." Does that actually make it better? It makes my heart feel better, but it really didn't make the owie feel better. So that was an example. We train people that the placebo effect works, right? I had a niece that when she was like 2, she was definitely convinced of this. She would fall down and random people at the park, she would walk up to and go, "Kiss it, kiss it." And I'm like, "Okay, random, no." Like, hello, that was even pre-pandemic. Now I don't even know what to do, but yeah, so we've trained our brains to, if someone tells us it's going to make it better, we kind of convince ourselves it's going to be better. So that's the placebo effect. We're going to skip that example because we already talked about it. This is one of my favorite topics, sources of bias. You guys live in a huge information age, right? You get data all the time. You got election results, you got election polls, you get all kinds of things. And do you think any of those are biased? Do you think any of them are not biased? Might be an easier question to answer. Right? So we all come from our own bias and we have to be really careful. So when we look at information, we should not just take it from one source. we should take it from multiple sources, right? And we should know what those sources are and say, if this place is publishing this, do you think they have a vested interest in what they're portraying, right? The news is a good example. Do they pick the actual factual story? They pick just the most sensational story to get people to watch their news, right? And then I'm not sure you can really call it news, but that's just my own opinion. So look at these. You've already done this with your mini lesson, but these are sources of bias. I gave you the little definition there: sampling bias, voluntary response bias, self-interest, and then response bias. I'm going to give you like 1 minute to think of an example of any of these categories. Okay, a real life example that you've seen or heard of or experienced or whatever. Then we're going to share out in like 1 minute, and everybody is fair game. I can call on anyone. So make sure you have an answer. You don't have to have an answer for all of them, just one of them. Okay, I'm going to give you a minute to think. All right. Anyone want to volunteer?
I got it.
I'm ready, Matt.
So I did the response bias when the actual person giving response is like not, doing it for like I thought about like some kind of study that where it would ask like, are you stressed out or are you depressed or are you sad? I think a lot of people, probably including me, if I had if something was wrong, I would probably answer like, oh no, everything's fine. Like, and I wouldn't want to admit that like something is wrong. I really think that's a huge thing that actually really happens with like studies conducted on guys in general. I really think guys in studies don't admit to themselves first that something's wrong. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great example, Matt, is just not being truthful on a study, right? Or a survey. People do it all the time. My sister doesn't ever want to make people feel bad. So even if it's in a restaurant and it's like, how was your service? She like puts great. I'm like, brought you the wrong food. You hated it and you complained the whole time. And then you said it was great. Like, this is not factual, right? So, and sometimes people do it on purpose, right? To answer it. Sometimes people don't want to tell the truth, but sometimes people are purposely trying to skew the information in a certain way. That's a great example, Matt. I totally agree. Anyone else have an example of one of these?
I had one for the self-interest study.
Nice. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't know if this is like a good example, but I remember in like the Stanford prison experiment when I forget his name who like conducted it, but he had like a bias in like the outcome, and like he wanted this experiment to prove that like prison environments make people more violent or like more aggressive. So like he did specific things to like heighten the tensions in like the experiment, or he would like artificially like remove people or put people in, or like make fights happen and stuff like that.
Yes, Danessa, that's great. If you've never watched that, the Stanford Prison Experiment is terrifying.
That was the one in
Um,
the 70s, right? So
what?
wasn't that like in the 70s or something? It was like a
Mhm.
while ago. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so a self-interest study, if I want the outcome to show something that will happen, we had it with the anti-vaccination push that happened here, right? That medical doctor who has now he no longer has his medical license. He faked his results, right? To look like a certain thing, same thing. So you have to be really careful that there's a lot of biases go on. Now, I think he did it very purposely. And people do it maliciously. People don't do it maliciously, but the bias is still there, right? So that's a great example. How about volunteer response bias or sampling bias?
I had an
Anyone?
example for that.
Go for it.
When I was thinking of the volunteer response bias, it sounds like those surveys where you don't absolutely have to take them, but you take them if you want to, even though they're completely optional.
Yes, absolutely, because you're getting bias. Has anyone ever called you on the phone and said, "Do you have a few minutes to take a survey?" Anyone ever done that to you? Called on the phone and said, "Anyone have a few minutes to take a survey?" Yeah, well, that's optional. Like if I'm going to answer it or not. Well, who answers those surveys? I never,
I
right?
never
I
have
never,
time.
yeah, I never have time. So who has my mom? My mom, who is 80, retired, sitting at her house, answers her, and then she'll tell me about it later. She's like, I took a 25-minute survey about blah, blah, and it was amazing. And I'm like, okay, so now you just have the senior citizen's opinion of what should be happening in the neighborhood. And all of us working people who don't have time to answer the survey don't even get to answer. And now you put in some weirdness down the street from my house. So, yeah, that would definitely be a voluntary response bias. How about a sampling bias? Anyone? These are very, very common.
All right, so for sampling bias, I think on one of our homework assignments, it brought up fish. And it made me think that when they were explaining it, they could have explained it even better. When you go fishing, there's like tons of different types of fish inside of, let's say, a lake or a pond or river. And it's all dependent upon what kind of bait you use in order to catch the fish. So in this situation, for when it comes to fish, it's going to be dependent, your sample is going to be dependent upon the bait you use. So the population could be like 30 different types of fish and different sizes and stuff, but you could not represent the actual population of all the different types of fish by using, let's just say, worms. If you're going to
Absolutely.
get
And
just the fish that could fit that in their mouth and that are interested in worms in general.
yeah, and there's also like the depth of the water, right? Where are they fishing, right? Are they fishing at the surface? Are they fishing in the middle? Are they fishing at the very bottom of whatever the water depth is?
Yeah.
And they have, so that's why they do a lot of, you've seen tag research studies. So they catch a lot of fish and then they tag them all and then they release them and then they do a future catch, right? And so that is more accurate in the sampling. So
Yeah, and
absolutely.
if they use those nets instead of actually, catching
Yeah,
a couple here at a time, that way you get all of them. Drag it on the bottom and through the top and stuff like that. So yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, that's even examples. Have you ever seen the samples just outside the grocery store? Right? That's just a convenient sample. It's whoever's at the grocery store. So that's definitely a sampling bias, right? Because again, who's going to answer? It could be, and it could be a combination of these. Do you see how that could be a voluntary response bias as well as a sampling bias? Yeah, so these go together. Excellent examples. Let's look at 3 more. Perceived lack of anonymity. Those are weird words if you don't know what they are. Does everybody know what the word anonymous means? Okay, so anonymous means nobody's going to know who did it. but a lack of anonymity would mean that somebody would know, right, that you did it. So that would be somebody's going to know who you are. And then a non-response bias, and then loaded questions. So take another minute and see if you can think of any examples of these three that have happened to you in real life, or that you've seen in our homework, or you can just imagine.
I think I have an example for loaded question. I don't know if it's a correct one, but I was filling out my syllabus for one of my classes, and like it was like super weird worded, like kind of like these strong words. It's like a fitness online class that I'm taking, so I have to record all my hours to my Apple Watch, which is interesting. But anyways, I was like, I have no idea what you just asked me, and it was a quiz, and I was supposed to write a response, and I messaged him, and I was like, I do not understand what that was. Like literally, that's like alien like words to me because I don't understand. And it was almost like, obviously in the syllabus you're supposed to like acknowledge and accept all of the terms, right? So basically I was supposed to say yes, but I wasn't going to say yes until I understood what it was saying. So I feel like syllabus questions are loaded questions because it has like, do you take full accountability, or whatever like words they use about, that you're going to be on time, and you're going to like, be in class, and whatever. It's just like, I think that's like a loaded question.
Yeah, I bet some of them are loaded questions. I didn't know that, but the good news is they're not questions, or they shouldn't be worded as questions. Like on my syllabus acknowledgement, it is a statement. I have read and understand the attendance policy for this course. That's not a loaded question. Now, a loaded question, which it sounds like you probably had, a loaded question would be, do you, like for your fitness class, do you exercise less than you should? Right? That's a loaded question. Like, first of all, why do I want to answer that? And second of all, judgy much? Like, is that telling me that I should be working out more? You don't know me. So be careful about loaded questions. Yeah, there's a lot of loaded questions when you read surveys. Any of you get food delivered? Like Uber Eats, DoorDash, any of those? You can just rate them with stars sometimes, but sometimes they ask you a question and you're like, oh, that's worded in their favor. Right? I've never really thought about that before. So I want you to do as a consumer is be aware of that, right? Be aware of those strangely worded questions because you've seen them already. How about a non-response, perceived lack of anonymity? Anyone have an example of those?
I have one for perceived lack of anonymity. Like, if you've ever seen those videos where people go on campus and ask people like super, like, well, almost kind of like loaded questions, and they're like, I don't want to answer this because I don't want to get in trouble with anyone in the future, so I'm just not going to, kind of like with louder with Crowder, and like Shoe on Head and stuff like that.
Yeah, those are great ones, right? They're great ones. You guys see them all the time. And even just if at your work or even in class, at the end of the semester, you get a survey about your instructor. If that from me and was returned to me, which hello, probably because you're going to be like, I'm going to write this teacher I've had, and she's going to give me an F. Like, it's not, oh, I'm not going to do this. Or a little kid in elementary school ever have bad happen in their classroom, like somebody took something. Oh, sorry about that. Let me see if I can switch it. Let me see. Is that better? No.
Yeah. Wait, what's better? The sound?
My
quality? It's
You're
still
still cutting out.
yeah.
well, that's stupid. Hold on. Okay, is it exactly the same?
I think it's better.
Oh, good. Well, we'll see. Okay. Oh, if it's bad again. But you were a kid and somebody did something bad in your class and then your teacher said, "Everybody write on a piece of paper what happened." And you're like, "I am not writing any of this piece of paper because my teacher knows my handwriting now." Right? Yeah, no one knows anything. I totally agree. And then this one I think is we've kind of already talked about. If people just refuse to fill, that can affect it. Think about our current our recent election with polls, right? Why were the polls so wrong? Because it was optional for people to answer. So only volunteers were answering. So that can affect the outcome. All right. So tell me if you any bias in this scenario. Assess the following. Should all prohibit loud and annoying rock music in clothing stores catering to teenagers? Any bias there? And if so, is it? What do you think, Liz? Any bias there? Do you think that question is worded strangely? Yeah, maybe old people shouldn't go to a teen store. I agree. So that's a loaded question, right? How about this one? Tell me if anything's wrong with this.
I'd say that'd probably be a loaded question bias since they're in the middle of working and stuff.
Yeah, and they're only asking people who work in the downtown businesses if they should renovate downtown. What about people who want to go downtown, but they just don't live there?
Yeah.
Should they be asked? And what about the people who live downtown?
Yeah, they're not asking the right people.
Yeah, we don't care about them. So that could be a sampling bias too. Okay. How about this one? What ideas do you have here? This time I want to hear from Zach, Brady, Lily, Zevi.
Sorry, I think you kind of cut out. Did you say my name?
Yep. So I want to hear from people that haven't answered. What about this question? And it can be, I also said Zach's name too. Zach.
What bias survey asks people to report their actual income and the income they report on the IRS tax? Is it because the incomes that they report to the IRS and their actual incomes are different?
Yeah. So what would they be worried about? Which bias would that be?
Well, they wouldn't want to admit that they're lying to the IRS because then taxman will come get them.
Yeah. So a lack of
that would be a
anonymity.
bias.
Yeah. A lack of anonymity. Somebody's going to find out who they are, right? Okay. That's it. So I'm going to skip that one. How about this one? Let's do this. Let's do this one in a 3, 2, 1 chat. What bias? You ready? What bias is this? A survey asks the following: should the death penalty be permitted if innocent people might die? Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, that is for sure a loaded question, right? You can tell their opinion right away. They're trying to get you answer a certain way, right? Because for sure you're going to say, oh, sure, I want innocent people to die. Right? Like that's not reality. Okay, try this one. A study investigates a new pain medication is safe to market to the public. They test by randomly selecting 300 men from a set of volunteers. What's wrong there? You can just answer out loud if you want. You don't have to 3, 2, 1. It's up to you.
They just chose men only.
Yeah, thanks, Zach. So, because it was just pain medication, it's not like it's only going to help men. So that might be a sampling bias, right? They might not have the population they want. Okay. And it could be a self-interest study in company doing it, right? But you don't. Okay. How about this is one of my favorites. Read one. A research study funded by a polish company found that scuffed shoes were the #1 reason not to hire a job applicant. Very nice. Yeah, self-interest, right? Can you picture that as an ad in the paper, right? So, and my last class was talking about how mean that is. Just if you have scuffed shoes, you're not going to get hired. Right. Well, probably in a shoe polish company, if you're applying for a job there, you should probably have your shoes polished. I'm just saying. I'm not saying I agree with them. I'm just saying. So, okay. So, I know I'm just keeping my video off for a minute, but I'm waving my arms around. You just can't see it. Okay. I know that we still have 15 minutes left, but I didn't want to start anything new. Now, that doesn't mean just leave right now. Okay? Because you have 3 work assignments due tonight, right? 3. One is a reading assignment. One is your S21 practice homework, and then one is your mini lesson for tomorrow. Someone asked me about the reading assignment because it says do the exercises. Those are the you try problems, but you don't submit them. You just check them because the answers are right there. That's a great way to self-check. And then you just check the box that says you read them. Okay. But make sure you do the exit ticket. If you're finished with all of your more homework, you can go ahead and leave the meeting. So is there anyone finished with all of your more homework? I can see a couple people, but they might be in my other class. Let's see, anyone in here that's done? I don't see anyone that's done. So what you should do right now for these 15 minutes, I'm going to be here. If you have a question on how to access your homework or a question on the more, just let me know. Otherwise, get a jump start on it because you have 3 assignments that are due. You access them all through Canvas. Some of you have missed a lot of these assignments already. So I want to make sure I'm giving you this time right now to get started on them. If you use these 15 minutes wisely, you could be almost done. Okay. So, and if I find that people are like, oh, I'm going to do it later, I'm going to log out right now, that's fine. Just the next time I won't give you these 15 minutes, right? So you just let me know if you need anything. I'm just my video off. But don't forget to do the exit ticket before you leave. And Zevi, you are so close. Zevi's doing really good on her homework. Tashina, it looks like has started. Lily has started. V did the mini lesson. Now you probably want to do the, oh no, you did, V did, yeah, you did the mini lesson. Now you want to do the S1 practice. Josh, it looks like you started them both. That's good. Brady's done. Good job, Brady. Just make sure you do the reading quiz because that I can't see it and more. So it's online. It was one question. Did you read the stuff? Yeah. Okay, good. So as long as you did and you did your exit ticket, you are free to go, Brady. Great job. Feel free to ask me questions, unmute, type them to me, whatever you need to do. Yeah, Zach asked a great question. If you start an assignment, but you log out and it's not due, can you keep doing it later? You totally can. It just grades you as it goes. So it might drop your grade temporarily, but then as you work on that assignment, it just keeps raising your grade as you complete it. So yeah, you should be fine. Great question. And you can redo questions until you get them all right too. You know where to access them, and Matt, you know where to access those assignments? And Annie and Lee?
Yeah, I'm trying to open them. It says something from week 3 of mine is not done yet, and I'm
Let me
trying
look.
the percent slides thing. You know, the green check mark, like, oh, you can't.
Yeah, it should just make you view that page.
I have done, and then both of the links too, and it's, let me
Did you
see.
refresh?
Yeah, let's try that.
And I'll look too on my end and see what it's
There we
showing.
go.
Better?
Okay. Yeah, it worked. Okay.
Good, good.
Yeah, I was
Excellent.
trying to start the other thing. So
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Anyone else having that issue? You did. It looks like your week 4 is locked too. You have to click on 3 pages. You have to click on percent slides, the more practice PF1, and the quizzes on percents. After you click on all 3 of those and view that page, if you refresh, then your week 4 will open.
Okay.
I'm just checking everyone's while I have you here.
Ma'am, I sent you a message and more because I got a wrong answer and it didn't make sense to me, and I was hoping you can explain it.
Perfect. Let me take a look right now. Okay, let me look at it. The city of Raleigh, blah, blah, blah. So this is just like the one we did. And it says nearest 10th of a percent. And it's brown. So 224 divided by 550 times 9100. So, okay, so the nearest 10th is one place to the right of the decimal. So when you got 40.72%, you're deciding, should you leave it a 7 or should you make it an 8? So would you leave it a 7 or make it an 8, Tashina?
Oh, I got you. I thought it was saying I'm looking at the 10th place. So would I change the 40? So would it be 41%? So I get it. So I'm looking at the 10th
Yeah.
place. So then I'd look to the right of the 10th place then, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so I'd leave it at 7 because it's a 2. Okay.
Perfect. So
should
your
have been
answer would be
40.7.
40.7%. Yeah. So when it says round to the nearest 10th,
10th.
that means it wants your number to end in the 10th spot.
Gotcha.
Okay. So you're going to look to the right. That's a great question.
Okay. Now, how would it be worded if they wanted it to be a whole percentage?
They would say rounded to the nearest whole percentage.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Or if they said hundredths, that would mean 2 places to the right, right? Good. Great question. Now I don't have to answer that because I just answered it out loud. So, and yeah, Tashina used the button that said ask my instructor. So if you ever have a problem where you're stuck on more, if you click on that button and you type, like she typed to me, my answer was this, I'm supposed to round to here. What should my answer be? And then I can see the actual question that she got. And then I can respond right now. Obviously, I could respond out loud, but I can also respond via email so then I can see the question that you have. So that's great to use that. If you need it, go for it. Okay, so since we have like 3 minutes left, I just want to make sure everybody did the exit ticket before they leave. Did everybody do the exit ticket? Excellent. Perfect. So don't forget, I know you have those 3 assignments. They shouldn't take you too long. They'll be great practice. Otherwise, you did great today, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Thank
See
you
guys
so
later.
much. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Yep. See you tomorrow.
See ya.